and welcome to another edition of Hoops Hitting Gems podcast. I'm your host, David Jones. Want to thank everybody for tuning in as usual. Man, it's the last episode of season 4, episode 17, altogether 111 episodes. Man, thank you guys so much. Man, we've been so far in this journey for, trying to educate people about different levels of schools, and tonight is no different. Man, I want people to understand, man, relationships go a long way. And when relationships go a long way, you meet people at certain stops, and you never know. I tell kids all the time, I tell kids, I tell families, you never know when that person gives you a call. They may be at one level and you wake up and they're at another level, and you can't be that person that was cold and stiff and honestly sometimes rude or nasty, because now you become that same person that is looking for that favor. And, coaches are human as well. And then there's a certain way you handle business also. Even if you're not interested in the school, it's the impression that you leave on the coach that, he may give you that call right back and say, hey, I was at this level. I'm here now. I'm still interested. And you never know whether that could be your blessing or not. And tonight's going to be no different, man. I'm so proud of this guy, man. I mean, one of the hardest workers in the business, man. And, we have our talks offline, and, he was ambitious. And I remember us talking, and I said, man, your time is coming. And, never knew what level it would be, but now he's taking a step up. And, I'm so happy because I've had multiple podcasts where I've brought people back where they were at one level and now here they are. Mm-hmm. I want to welcome tonight Coach LaShawn Hammond from Paul Quinn College, now the head coach. How you doing today, Coach?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for having me.
Oh, man.
Definitely, last time I was on here, we spoke this in existence for sure.
Yes, yes, we did, man. Yes, we did, man. First of all, man, congratulations, man. Beyond happy for you, man, just to see how this turned out for you. And, man, I wanted to get you on because, people don't know about Paul Quinn College. And, Paul, to let people know, Paul Quinn College has one of the nicest blacktop courts in the country. I mean, if you haven't seen it, go online, Google it, and everybody says, man, that court is nice. And I'm like, yes, it is. There's only a handful of schools that have a blacktop like that. And, for me, I'm always about bringing on different levels. And tell us a little bit about Paul Quinn College.
Well, we're HBCU that's located in Dallas, Texas. It's a beautiful campus, and to piggyback, ESPN rated us as the few years, 2 years ago, rated us as the number one. We had the number one court in the country, and it's a beautiful court. It has the skyline of Dallas, Texas, 100 years ago, when African Americans weren't really allowed to be down there. The building is beautiful. It's 4 years old now. It's history all around the building. It's an amazing building. It's the best to me. It's the best. I won't even say small college. It's one of the best. It's one of the best college courts in the country. And to me, it's top five. And I've seen a lot of courts, but it's top five. We have an amazing president. Our president is very innovative. The whole court, the whole idea of what we're doing at Paul Quinn, it started in 2007 when he arrived, and it's only gotten better. We are the first college in the country that has we have our urban work college program, where our students not only are getting an education, but they are also doing internships with Fortune 500 companies while they are getting their degree. And it's giving them a leg up and an opportunity to gain experience while they are pretty much going to school. And it helps them with experience, because most of these companies that are investing financially into these students, as well as they're giving them the opportunity to, they're taking them from once they graduate and giving them jobs. So it's a purpose, our president Sorrell has created a purpose driven education. Most students are graduating from college with degrees and finding it very hard to get a job because now you have the degree, but you don't have the experience. So President Sorrell has created an environment for our students to not only have a great education, but also they're getting the hands-on experience while they're in school for them to be able to get those jobs and jump in front of those other students that are out here getting degrees as well.
So tell us a little bit about Paul Quinn in regards to what conference and what affiliation is Paul Quinn in? Because I want people to get to know not only you, but to know about the university. Like you said, you gave a great introduction about the school. Paul Quinn, is it NAI? Is it Division II? Tell us a little bit about that.
So we're NAI that has dual affiliation with the USCAA as well, but we are 100% NAI. We were in the Red River Conference, but this is going to be our first year that we are moving now to the HBCU Conference, which is split pretty much in the North and the South, and we're on the side with SUNO, Wally, Hudson Tilson,
Dillard.
Dillard. So we're in a pretty tough conference. We've had some teams that have been right there pushing to get to that national tournament. We've had some teams in the national tournament. So I'm really excited. This was something that our AD Brian Evans and President Sorrell really thought through before they made the decision to move us from the conference we were into now. So I'm excited. And it also gives us an opportunity. The conference is going to be the MEAC and the SWAC of NAI. So we're really excited, and there's some heavy hitters in the conference, even on our side as well as the other side.
Oh, I can definitely speak on that. 2 years ago, me and my good friend, who also is one of the producers of the show, we were the broadcaster of the HBCUAA conference championship at Stillman. So nice. we know all about that conference. We've had the president of the conference on the podcast as well, Dr. Barnes. I mean, definitely. I mean, her, Danielle, they've been on this show, good friends of the show. So you're in good hands going to that conference. I mean, very good competitive conference, like you said, on both sides. I know the guys over at Voorhees as well. So absolutely, I could co-sign on you. Very good conference.
And we all are excited about this opportunity. We're hitting the ground running. We're new to the conference, but the conference is expanding. It's so many great people around that table for the conference that are making great decisions and trying to, make it one of the elite conferences in the country. So it was, our president thought it was no better time for us to join. And I'm really excited that he actually did.
Absolutely. And that's why I said with you, and one of the unique things I do like about the conference is they play in what you call like those little quarters where all the teams come to one stop. And so they play like multiple games.
Little pods.
The little pods, exactly. And man, I was like, man, that's an innovative idea. And then, it saves on your travel budget as well. But it gives people like myself, from a media perspective, we can catch a number of games just in that one little area.
Buffet of good basketball.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. And, coming from where you came from, you're used to winning. And, like you said, this is a step up. Conference has some really, really good guys. To be honest, and I can speak on this because I've seen it live. Some of those guys are Division I, Division II transfers, JUCO transfers. So there's some heavy hitters. And how you gonna handle that, man?
Well, we're gonna get better every day. I can sit here and say all the cliche answers for you. But I think, for us, we're gonna get better every day. We did really well in recruiting. We retained some really good players. So we have a really good core coming back. And I actually brought 4 guys with me that have won national championships. So we kind of, we got a nice little pie, cooking here, with what we brought in, and what we returned. For us, we're gonna get better every day. The one thing I tell the people all the time is, whether it's one level, or another level, winning is winning. And to win in that, I've won 3 national championships, and probably the first one's probably the hardest because you gotta learn how to do it to continue to do it over and over again. So for us, we know what national championships look like. I'm bringing my staff with me, which I'm really excited about because sometimes when you take other jobs, it's hard to keep everybody together. So we kept, for the most part, I kept my staff together. So I got some hardworking guys that know what winning looks like, guys that know what culture looks like and player development looks like. So, bringing those coaches with me, bringing those 4 guys that have won national championships. One guy's got 2 national championships with me. Having those guys there to be able to help the rest of the guys get acclimated to how we do things, has been fun so far. But we know what winning looks like. We know what it takes to win national championships. So the plan is to come in here and win. President Sorrell and AD Evans have a lot of faith in me, belief in me, and belief in what we're trying to do. And they've been great support. And I can't speak for every other coach in the country, but when your president is one of your biggest fans and you're
we lost them for a second. See what's going on. He'll be right back. He got knocked off for a second. In the meantime, while he's coming back, man, thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. I mean, like I said, it's hard to believe it's been, 4 years. It's been 4 years since we've done this journey. Season 5 will be coming up at the end of August. And, here he is right back. And so,
can you hear me?
Thank you guys, definitely. With season 5 coming up at the end of August. And Coach, welcome back. I was just telling people that, this is the last show for season 4 and we'll get ready for season 5. But back to what you were saying,
when your president is your biggest fan and your biggest supporter, and you have an athletic director that we have, you have a ton of success. And you're built, our athletic director, was at Georgetown College, which is one of the best NAIA.
Yes, one of the best NAIs that people that don't know. Yes.
And AD Evans knows how to win. He knows what winning looks like. He's won 22 championships in the time that he was there. So and in all sports. So he knows what winning looks like. So when you have an athletic director that can point you in the right direction of how you want to get things done, and you have a president that's your biggest fan, he's very supportive, and when you have those 2 things, it makes it so much easier for you to be successful. Because speaking from experience, when you have athletic directors or presidents that are not on the same page with athletics, it's kind of tug of war. And I think here we're not so far. We haven't seen that, and we've had everybody that we're all on the same page. We're all on one accord, and I think for us, we're gonna have a ton of success. So going into conference, going into conference play, we got great players, we got great coaches, and we got a great support staff and our athletic director and our president. So I'm excited.
Let me ask you this before we go any deeper, because the landscape has changed in college basketball. You're seeing the trend of a lot of schools going with older experience. what's going to be now that you're at Paul Quinn, and I know how competitive you are. Are you looking at JUCO D1 drop downs, D2, or is it best available? What's it going to be at Paul Quinn for that recipe? Is it going to be a mix? I'm always interested to hear how you want to do that.
Well, coming from Penn State Wilkes-Barre, we recruited a ton of transfers, and JUCO transfers and 4-year transfers.
Mm-hmm.
And a part of that was because we did not have on-campus housing. We had off-campus housing, and it was very difficult to kind of put 17, 18-year-old kids in a position to be successful with juggling being an adult and a student and an athlete all in one. And we saw very early, because we did try that route when I first got there, that route just wasn't the right makeup for Penn State Wilkes-Barre.
Mm-hmm.
At Paul Quinn, I think first and foremost, I'm a New York City guy. I know what hotbed and big time basketball looks like.
Yeah.
I'm so excited that we're in Dallas, because there's a ton of talent here. There's a ton of I'm in Texas, and it's a buffet of talent.
Yes, it
is.
So
for us, I mean, we're gonna have a blend of everything. I mean, what we do want to do is these next 3 years we want to build a culture, and our culture is going to be built off of these first 2 years are going to be built off building our culture with people who we can build with and we can build through. And so for us, we are going to recruit high school guys who we can develop, we can grow, and they can be a part of not just a program, but actually be a part of growing at Paul Quinn, because it is a unique place, and a unique opportunity for not just a student to be a great, basketball player, but actually be a really good, successful student and person after college. But we will take, the transfers. We will take, the JUCO guys and the D1 transfers. Texas has a ton of I'm in an area that
JUCO hotbed.
It's a JUCO hotbed. So we're gonna try to keep those guys home. And we're also gonna try to put ourselves in a position, honestly, where when the guy from UT Arlington or North Texas, decides that he's gonna go in the portal, we're gonna be aggressive and try to get those guys as well. Because I do think that what we provide at Paul Quinn, it might not be like at other schools, but we're providing something beyond basketball. And I think that when you can get the right student athletes around you to understand that it's bigger than basketball and what we're providing is bigger than basketball, I think that, it's kind of sky's the limit for what we're going to be able to do. But the landscape is changing. Everybody's going after transfers. You're going to get older guys, people, but you still win within. And I think that if we're going to get the right high school kids that want to be here, that want to develop and want to grow. And it's bigger than just playing 30 games and then dipping and going to another school. It more so, I want to get my degree here. I want to join a fraternity. I want to be a part of clubs. I want to create a legacy, where I graduate from Paul Quinn, and then my kids and their kids graduate from Paul Quinn. And that's what we're trying to build here.
Legacy.
Beyond basketball is more of a legacy.
And I'm glad you said that, but man, when you got this job, all I did was smile, because I was like, oh boy, because like you said,
they're in trouble.
Hotbed. You're in Dallas. Dallas is one of the high school hotbeds. Texas as a state is one of the hotbeds. And you are right next to one of the sleeper states that people sleep on big time. And I'm sure you're going to get some calls. Louisiana got some heck of the athletes out there. And I'm like, man,
we are going to be aggressive. Unfortunately, and I won't even say unfortunately, but I was hired April 24th.
Mm-hmm.
The world found out May 1st. I had to get between May 1st and June 11th. We had to really recruit and hit the ground running to find not just talented players, but the right fit for Paul Quinn players. and students, and we did a great job in that small window of time to build the team to get ready for our summer bridge. So now, feet on the ground, settled in Dallas, we are going to recruit very, very hard, and we're going to be very aggressive in Texas and every surrounding state around us. That doesn't mean we won't go up north or out west, but we're going to be very aggressive with our surrounding areas because there is a ton of talent right around us that is in arm's length, and to just go out and grab some guys and even keep some local guys home. I think one of our top recruits is a guy that was in Allen. He's from Allen, Texas, which is 30 minutes from school, from campus, and he was in school in Ohio. He was out in Ohio. So to be able to keep him home, we one of another his name's Makai Johnson. We kept he was a transfer kid who averaged 13 and 8, and he was really solid at his last school, and he was looking to transfer back home, and we jumped on him. And Tavion Fisher was a kid that we saw was available, who went to Wally College, and we recruited him before we had made the transition to the HBCU conference. And he was a 12-5 guy. He led the HBCU conference in free throw percentage, and he was a solid 3-point shooter. He's from Houston, Texas, and we kept him home. So, we're going to be, very aggressive with keeping guys home. We do have some other guys. We got a freshman guard that I'm really excited about, and TJ Mitchell, who's from he went to Paris High School right here in Dallas, and he was a freshman, and he was a guy that Prez was very high on. I saw him play a ton of times on the AAU circuit while he was, watching his son play. And when I got the job, we saw him play, and he was a kid that was very interested in us, and we were able to, to snag him and bring him in. So for us, we're gonna keep some guys home. We're gonna do some things. Recruiting, and I say this with all humility, recruiting was never, recruiting is the bloodline to your program.
Oh, absolutely.
Recruiting is why when I've been blessed enough to win 3 national championships, because we've been able to go out and get kids from all over the country. So we're going to continue to do that. And now at Paul Quinn, the resources and the support that I have here, we're going to be able to go get kids that, people wouldn't be able to think beyond our wildest dreams that we'll be able to get, that we're going to get here.
I want to say this, and you kind of got a little cheat code too, because a number of those AAU events come to Dallas.
I'm right there. Right?
Yeah. So that's right in your backyard. Like, you don't have to spend any money.
I don't even have to stay we don't even have to stay in a hotel. We just drive to Arlington, drive to Dallas. So
your travel budget is low on that, just paying the coach's fee to get in. That's why I said when I saw you got the job at Paul Quinn, I was like, I know what he about to do from a recruitment standpoint. And then even with that, Houston is 4 hours away. You got Fort Worth. I mean, the DFW area in itself. I come out there all the time. My buddy's up in North Texas, so I come out there to catch some games and stuff like that. And I was just like, my goodness,
it's a hotbed for talent.
Yeah,
I've told a lot of my friends that are in the business. I've told a lot of family members or people just passing the conversation. There was a lot of jobs that I wanted to be in the running for, but this was a job that I feel like it was meant for me.
Yeah.
It was heaven sent, man. I feel like, from a standpoint of the school's way of thinking, the way they build their culture. Me, it's always been, family over everything, and to get, doing it for the guy standing next to you and trying to win championships and doing it together. And we've always built our culture at Wilkes-Barre and everywhere I've coached on building it about being about the players and being about the next guy, not yourself, but making it about the next guy. And then to be here and the motto is, we over me, it really just, it was so easy to make the adjustment because it was so easy because everybody is on the same page, and you don't get that everywhere you go. So I could have got a lot of jobs, or a lot of jobs could have wanted me, but I feel like this was the one that was fit for me. And I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm ready to get to work, man. I'm ready to get to work.
And on top of that, man.
Well, we already got to work, but I'm really ready to get to work, man. I'm ready to win some games, man, and change. We want to change the culture. I mean, President Sorrell and AD Evans have made it perfectly clear that I got 3 national championships, and we did a HBCU All-Star game in May, and it was 2 made-up teams of local guys and some guys from the state of Texas, and a couple of guys from Louisiana, and my team won. So I'm 1-0 in the building already. And one of the things that always stuck by me was I was leaving that night, my athletic director, AD Evans, he says, man, I can get used to this. I can get used to winning. So that motivated me even more to go out. Like, okay, we got to get those guys. Because, last few years been tough. Even the ladies who work in the cafeteria, they're so upbeat, like, hey, y'all gonna win this year, y'all gonna win some games. So it's like, everybody wants to see it turn around, and I want to be that change. Everywhere that I've coached, I went in and I've made it better than I left. When I left, it was better than I left it, than I found it. And so, but here I'm excited. My family is here. We were back and forth, for 10 years, where I was traveling back and forth between Pennsylvania and New York. My family, my kids, we're all underneath one roof every night now. And it's going to drive my wife crazy because now she got to deal with the losses and the wins. But I'm excited. So I love what I saw so far. I love the support. And for me, I'm happy to be here, and I expect to be here for a very long time. I want to build something special, and I have the resources to do it.
The other thing that, as we're talking and I'm thinking about it, man, one of the top JUCO jamborees is in your backyard as well. With the Jerry Mullins show. I was like, man, bro, you about to eat. You about to really eat. And that's crazy. You're about to eat within 30 to 45 minutes of all these AAU events, JUCO events. And like I said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just speaking this. I know how hard this man works. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, man, I know he about to be out with that pencil and paper and that booklet circling names. I was like, oh, ooh. And then with Dallas being a basketball hotbed, not just in talent, a lot of these events come there. I'm like, oh, it's like you said, it's a perfect marriage from a coaching perspective. Yeah. But what I wanted to get into some more tonight, I want to get into you as a coach. And when I say that, give me an expectation of what a day would be like for a student athlete on the basketball team at Paul Quinn College. What's it going to look like? Are you a morning practice person? Are you an afternoon? How's it going to work for you there?
Well, this job has really challenged me to be a morning person because I'm a guy who stays up really, really late. I feel like I get my best thoughts and the best, I'm at my best sometimes late at night. And it's because it's very quiet. The phone is not buzzing the way it's buzzing during the day. It's very, it's quiet. The kids are in bed. My wife, the minute my kids are down, she's gone, so she's down. So I'm really at a place where I'm at my best. I'm working. So I'm a guy that usually gets up. I start my day around 10. Paul Quinn got me starting around 8, 9, just because I had to get adjusted to the time difference. because I still was in New York for a while. But I'm actually getting. Some people say you get more out of the day because you start early. I usually stay up later, but a typical day for us. I mean, I can go for right now. We're practicing. You know, we're going 6:30 to 8:30 in the morning. Our guys have a chance to go to breakfast. Have breakfast right after practice and workouts, and then they'll go to they'll pretty much go through their day. Just to rewind back a little bit, we only have classes Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So our students only go to school Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Thursday and Fridays are their days to do their internships with their work program. We call it work program. Their work program jobs. So we'll go in the morning 6:30 to 8:30. So we'll say a typical Monday. We'll go 6:30 to 8:30 in the morning, and then the guys have about an hour. If you got class at 9:30, you got about an hour to shower, change, get dressed. You go to the caf. We've got our director of food services, Chevron. He makes sure that the food is still hot and available, even if it's to go or they're going to get something. And then our guys will start their day. During the day, everybody's schedule is different, so we have them in small groups where we're doing individual workouts, and we'll be doing weightlifting on certain days. And then at night, it's just extra work. We'll do our study halls, but the guys also have an opportunity to get in the gym. We have 2 gyms. Our President Sorrell, again, like I said, he's innovative. He's a Duke alum, so Duke does. I'm not a Duke fan, but Duke does everything top notch
with excellence.
And Prez does everything top notch. So we actually have our gym that we talked about earlier. It's like our mini arena. We have a weight room that is in our health and wellness center, which is our arena, that is only for men's and women's basketball. Every sport has their own place to call home. So we don't share that building with anybody but women's basketball. Then we have another gym on campus, Tiger's Den, which is our original gym that we used to play in before we got the health and wellness center. And that is also kind of like a practice facility for us. If us and the women's basketball team want to practice at the same time, one of us can go down there. If the guys want to get extra work in and there's too many guys in this gym, they can go to that gym. So the guys have an opportunity to get better, and one of the things for us to grow as a program, our players have to be invested in getting better. And Prez has given us the resources on campus to get better. We have 3 weight rooms. We have a training room inside our arena, but we also have a recovery room in the student union building. So we have a great training staff. So our guys have every opportunity to get better and develop and grow. So a typical day would be, practice started at 6:30. Guys are there at 6. We got a beautiful locker room. Guys go through their progressions. We go through individual workouts. We'll always do individual workouts right after stretching. We'll break up into groups, bigs, wings, guards, and then we'll get something, and then we'll go through our progressions, and then we'll build up through our offense and our defensive stuff. And then once practice is over, our guys go to shower and get to eat. Any guys that don't have class at 9:30, if they want to stay and work with the coaches, that's a golden opportunity to get some work in. And then guys come back throughout the day to get their weightlifting session in or get their individual workouts in with the coaches. So it's a full-time job. It's it's beyond a full-time job. But we're using every opportunity to get better.
I like that. And for the competition that you're about to go up against, that player development is going to be key. And I wanted to talk to you about this as well, because I always talk about the importance for the parents that watch it live or they watch the recording of this. When you come to, whether it's Paul Quinn or doesn't matter the level, people have this misconception that, coach is only going to want me if I can put up 15, 20 points a game, where people don't understand the importance of roles for the team. And roles a lot of times not only will get you those minutes, but roles a lot of time are what keep you on the floor and keep that team together and winning. We lost him again. Give us 1 second. He'll be right back. You back?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Oh, okay, no problem. No problem.
I heard most of your question.
Yeah, and I want people to understand the importance of knowing your role. And everybody doesn't have to be a scorer to be successful in your program, because you need defensive stoppers, you need rebounders, you need those floor generals. And I always want to bring that up so people can understand. And basically, you're co-signing this, the importance of different roles besides quote unquote getting a bucket.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I got two answers to your question. The first thing is for the parents is that, you know, your role can change at any given time. Mm-hmm. That's first and foremost. And I think the second part about it is you are the level that you audition for, the level you want to play at every day. You know, I've been blessed to coach 22 guys that are professional athletes. I coach 15 at Penn State Wilkes-Barre. The one thing that all 15 of those guys did, they worked harder than everybody else in the gym. And I've been blessed to say I've had times where it was 3-4 of those guys working on the same team, working just as harder than each other. They weren't even competing against each other, but they just worked that hard where it almost looked like a competition. For us, you don't have to impress me by averaging 25 points a game. You know, when we put together our team, first for us, we don't play that brand of basketball. I can say that the 3 national championships I won, if you go back and look at the stats, we had 5 guys averaging double figures on all 3 of those championship teams. 4 to 5 guys averaging double figures. We had 3 All-Americans on 2 out of those 3 national championship teams. The ball moves in our offense. We're going to take the best available shot. We're going to take good shots. And if a guy's rolling, we're going to feed that hot hand. But we're not just out here playing through these 2 guys and that's how we're going to win. He's got to average 25. He's got to average 18. Because I've coached teams. I mean, early in my coaching career, I had a kid that was probably one of the best scorers I ever coached, and a kid named Chris Canteen, who averaged 23 points a game for us. He was a D2 transfer. I had another Division II transfer, Big, that would average 18 and 10. But when Big fella got in trouble, it was very easy to scheme against Chris Canteen. Or when Chris picked up 2 fouls, it was easy to double the post because those 2 guys were the guys that we were kind of Shaq and Kobe in. And in this day and age, I think that parents need to really understand that the game isn't what it was 5 years ago. It wasn't what it was 10 years ago. And it's not going to be what it is now 5 years from now. And the biggest thing is having a role or being really good and great at 2 or 3 things might help you get paid. You know, one of my leading scorer on my second national championship team averaged 18 a game, and he averaged 4 3-point makes a game, and 3 of them were corner threes. And he's been playing in Europe the last 3 years as a corner 3 guy. That's what he do. He makes threes. So, you know, being a defensive, you know, a player that I've coached, and his name's Amir Biddle. He was on my first national championship team. He averaged 8 points a game, but he led the country in steals, and he was top 3 in block shots. And he's been playing in Europe for the last 6 years. And to be completely honest, he averaged 8 points a game. Was he an 8-point a game scorer? No, he probably was. This was a kid that averaged 14 and a half at a Division I JUCO in Mississippi. But he wanted to guard the best player every night in and night out. I call it, because we got kids that want to be professionals.
we call the preseason training camp. That's what we call it. And at the end of training camp, right before, maybe about a week before the season starts, we bring all our players in. We bring in our projected starting five. We sit them down and give them their roles. And we explain to those guys what their job is to get us off the good starts. Big fella, you got to rebound. You got to do this. Point guard, these are your best two scorers right here. You got to get these guys involved. We're going to call sets and get them going early. Your job is to rebound it. 4-man, your job might be to rebound the basketball and be a great ball rusher guy. We tell guys what their role is right then and there. We bring in our 6th, 7th, and 8th man in a separate meeting, and we sit down and we explain to them what their role is. You're gonna use 6th man, you 7th man. Y'all probably gonna play starter minutes. Y'all gonna come in the game, at a certain amount of time, and your role is that you're gonna play the same amount of minutes as a starter. You're just not gonna start. 8th and 9th guy, they know what their role is, and I think that for me, in my experience, if you give athletes a role and you explain to them what you want from them, you give them the opportunity to be more successful because they understand what they should be doing and not out there just winging it,
Yeah.
And we do this with everybody, even the guy that's probably a 11, 12, 13 man that's probably not going to play. We let him know, hey, listen, your job is work hard every day in practice because you still have the next 4 months to jump in front of one of these guys. I also tell those guys in this meeting, hey, you guys are the starters today. But if you guys don't get it done, we got to make a decision. We got to make a move. And you tell the guys that 6, 7, 8, 9th man, if you don't get it done,
you got to be ready. Yeah.
They going to be ready. So, I try to make sure that everybody knows what their role is or what we expect from them so that there's no confusion. It's not, coach, I don't understand, and not give those kids that forum to ask questions and say, hey, but what can I do to play more? What can I do to get in front of so-and-so, and we're honest. But I also do it because if you're not happy with your role or you're not happy with what's going on, we're doing this today so that you don't step on that floor and lose your eligibility. I'd rather you red shirt or just say, this is not what I signed up for and go elsewhere. That way you don't kill our chemistry. You by telling us that you understand, you are signing a contract, a verbal contract that you are coming to play for us and you're going to play for this team and not yourself. And I think that, I was blessed enough to play a little bit professionally overseas, play a decent amount overseas. I was able to play a little bit here in the States. To me, that worked, knowing what my job was. I remember playing in Japan. I remember my coach telling me what he wanted from me night in and night out. That helped me understand what I needed to do to help the team. And I think if we do that more in this business, you allow kids that, the student athletes to understand what their role is and, and go from there to help the team, because I can't help if I don't know what my role is. I can't help if and this generation is not as mentally tough as we were. So, not knowing, they'll just pack their bags and mentally just check out.
Yeah.
And now when you finally do need him 10 games in, he ain't ready.
He's not ready.
He's not ready. And I tell kids all the time, I say, look, hey, listen, I tell guys all the time, Tom Brady's one of the greatest, if not the greatest quarterback ever. And he sat behind two really good quarterbacks. He was a
backup, yes, behind Drew Bledsoe.
Backup to the backup.
Yes, he was.
Those guys got hurt, and his time came. Matt Castle I tell our guys, Matt Castle made a ton of money, right? When Tom Brady went down that year, Castle had to step in, and he got paid, and then Garoppolo got paid. And I tell our guys, stay ready, because it could change at any given time. But we chart everything. I'm big on charting stuff in practice. Me and my coaching staff, we've been together for a long time, so we have a lot of good night. Love you, good night. We have a lot of conversations where we talk about the team. How can we get better? We have those meetings before practice where it's like, hey man, you got to make you got to make Anton better today. Your job today, you got to push Anton. You got to make it better today. Like you got to coach him. And with times like my son is like, you know what, my son is on my team. I won a national championship with my son. It's days where it's like, you know what, I'm gonna be an asshole to him all day long. I'm gonna do it on purpose. I'm gonna ride everything, every mistake, everything he does. I'm gonna make him hate me today. And then after practice, throw your arm around him because we just need him to understand he's got to be focused. He's got to, he's got to do this. He got to, my son was a freshman. My son was the only freshman on the national championship team. I had to really, it was tough because I know it was some days he wanted to like pop me in my sleep because he wasn't playing, or I had to come home and get the eyes from my wife, where it's like, and I'm like, hey, listen, he's not ready yet, or he needs more time, or I got 2 national championship guards who, they won. How do I take them off the floor? But he stayed, he put the work in, he made the time. And when I called on him, he was ready. And I kind of grabbed him sometimes and said, you might have hated me during those times, but it was all, and I would tell him. And one day I told him, I said, them days I used to get on you, I didn't want to get on you. It wasn't that, you wasn't making more of a mistake than anybody else, but I had to. Because I needed you to be ready. There's your time. And so I think sometimes, for me, I'm a player's coach. And for me, I think that you need to be able to get the kids to see what you see and understand it from your perspective. When we were growing up, coach told us to run through a wall. We didn't ask why. We just did it. Yeah. These kids kind of need to know why sometimes. So I get it. So we try to give them why. We try to, we ain't going to explain every single reason why we do things, but sometimes they need to know because it keeps them on their toes. It keeps them motivated and they keep them understanding, what it was going. So to me, any parents that are listening, you got to allow us to coach your kid because at the end of the day, we're not just coaching them for basketball. We're coaching them for life. And I think, if we coddle them and we take away the adversity,
entitlement, don't get me started.
What are we doing in the long run?
But I'm up here shaking my head right now. Son, if you're up here watching this, rewind this and watch it again. And I'm shaking my head because, man, your kids don't understand it. And what you just said was almost the gospel from an AAU perspective when me and my good friend had a program and we both had our sons on the team, but it was a situation like, be ready. You never know. And then in the long term, you didn't understand what we were trying to do. Does he get it a lot better now? Absolutely. I'm proud of him. He's, he handles business in the classroom because one of the other things we could talk about all day, there's a lot of kids that have come to your program that are really good athletically, but unfortunately their mindset is, I'm just only here to hoop, and then they fail in the classroom. And I would tell my son, he can tell you this verbatim. When he was in 8th and 9th grade, and there was so many kids in front of him, I said, man, if you handle business in the classroom, there's going to be a lot of these guys, unfortunately, that are going to fall by the wayside for a number of reasons. And I said, I don't wish that on none of them, but it's just the reality of it. Now he's going into his junior year and he's going to graduate early and be able to go to grad school while he's still playing. And we talk now, and that's why I'm laughing as you're talking.
Yeah, my son has had it hard. I'm proud of him because most kids in his situation probably would have just cut and run or just said, I don't want to do it. My son was a late bloomer. I had played professionally. I had played a little bit. So I was back and forth overseas or back and forth playing and so I didn't get a chance. He was toying with basketball 6, 7, 8, 9, but he wasn't serious about it. And then when I tried to get him serious, he really didn't want to do it. And then he just wanted to play with his friends. And then about 10th grade, COVID happens. And that summer, he's just like, yo, dude, I want to play. Dad, I want to play. I want to play high school basketball, I want to play college basketball, I want to play. And I mean, it brought joy to my heart because, you know, he's my oldest son. He bears my name. I wanted to see it, but it was tough, you know. And you know, I loved it because his AAU years, his 3 AAU summers, and his 2 high school years. I sat there in the corner like a dad. I was so excited. I watched him play. When he came home, I gave him advice like a father. I never said, well, this coach should do this or that. I was his dad. He vented to me. I gave him advice. You know, this is what you should do better. That was it. But he came into Wilkes-Barre, you know, very humble. I wanted to send him to prep school. I wanted to send him a year of prep school. He chose to redshirt. I was looking at different preps. We were going to send him prep. And maybe 2 weeks before he's leaving for prep, he says to me, well, what if I come in and redshirt? If I'm going to prep school, the whole purpose is to get better and work on my game and play against top talent. But you guys are just coming off winning a national championship. You know, I'm not going to see no better talent than that every day. And I'd rather play against bigger, stronger, grown men than to play against guys my age or a year older than me. And it made great sense. He stumbled me with that one, but it was worth it. And he came in and he redshirted. He got stronger. He got to play against guys every day because he was playing against those guys in open gyms and stuff. But now he sees them every single day, and now he's got to learn offense. He's got to learn stuff, and it gave him a chance to develop and grow. And we won, you know, and then he played, and we won the national championship. And you know, my son's a sophomore now, but he has 3 years to play. But he had it hard because you're coming in, you're playing for your dad who's had a ton of success. You're playing for your dad who sent a lot of guys professionally. So the target's on your back is like, how well you gonna play? You know, what is he gonna do? Is he good enough? Is his dad, because it's his dad? And he held his own. I mean, he had a really good year. He averaged about 8.6, I think, a game. He shot over 40 from 3. He was freshman of the year, a freshman of the conference a few times. You know, he was all freshman team. He had a really good year. I mean, I'm proud of him. He still got a long way to go, but I'm his biggest fan. I'm his biggest critic. And I think moving up a level is going to help him. He's been acclimating to the academic part because it's very rigorous compared to, you know, Penn State. And athletically, he's been holding his own. And you know, he's embracing being a national champion, helping other guys acclimate. But he's also he's also getting comfortable with finding his own way. And he's got 3 years, you know. And I told him that. I said, you know, buckle your seatbelt, get ready. You got 3 years, you know, to play your tail off, win more conference championships, and we're gonna win another national championship, or 2 or 3, and you know, and you know, see what's next. But it's tough. I'm probably harder on him than I am anybody else because he gets it in the gym, but then he gets it at home. You know, he's living on campus, so I got to go to his room to give it to him a little bit more sometimes. But he's getting it now through text message. But I tell him all the time, I'm his biggest fan. I'm his biggest critic. It's never going to be good enough for me, but it is going to be good enough. It's just never going to be good enough for me because I'm always going to have the expectation that he should be better. But I think he started to embrace being the coach's son. And I think it's a little harder here because at Wilkes-Barre, he kind of grew up there. So the guys knew him. People on campus knew him. You know, some of the professors knew him because they would see him sometimes sitting in a classroom, you know, by himself, and they wonder who's that kid sitting there. Versus now, you know, you're the coach's son, and everybody's watching everything you're doing. But I love it because it keeps him on his toes and it keeps him grounded, and you know, that'll make him not just a better basketball player, but just a better person.
There's one other thing I want to touch on tonight, and I mean, we kind of just walked into it. The academic piece. You know, I know you guys have study hall. But what's going to be your expectation of the kids there at Paul Quinn? Because, I mean, like you said, your president's a Duke alum, so I know he's going to stress
He's got
academics.
about 5 degrees, so
That's what I'm saying.
he's
So
he's a Duke
what's
alum,
going to
a
be
Penn
that
alum,
extra? Yeah. What is that going to be? And I'm just listening to you. I'm like, oh, I know he's expecting excellence on the court, but he's going to be expecting, a 3.0 or higher team GPA. So what's going to be that?
And I can flex a little bit on this one, but at Wilkes-Barre we had an average 3.1 GPA, and for a few years, and we had a 91% graduation rate. So graduating our players and actually having making sure that our guys had good GPAs was always something that we kind of prided ourselves in. Yes, I walk in every room as a 3-time national champion, but I think the one thing that I'm most proud of is the fact that we are graduating our student athletes. That I can walk in a room and know that our kids are graduating, knowing that our kids, that we're changing lives. I've coached some kids over the last 10, 12, years that probably wouldn't have went to college if they didn't have somebody like me in their corner. They might have started, but I don't know if they would have finished. So we had that on our, but one thing I can say is that the support is there. And any student athlete that watches this that is interested in Paul Quinn, you have a ton of support. You have people who want to see you get your degree and walk across that stage. Our president, like you said, I think he got about 5 or 6 degrees. I think he's at 5. All of our students have to take his class. He is one of the professors for our summer bridge program.
Wow.
So he is, from the door, he's drawing the line in the sand of what it takes to be a Paul Quinn student. And what he's doing is he's very, upfront about his expectations. Whether it's you supposed to put a teacher's assistant on an email and you didn't put the right one, he's not accepting it. To, he is very, very, he is teaching our young men and young women what it's going to be like in a world where you have to deal with deadlines, and you have to deal with someone having, your feet to the fire every single day to be successful. And he's doing it right now. You have to take his class to enter. 2-3 days in, our guys was ready to just tie him up and put him in the closet because he was just tough, but it was for the greater good. Yeah. And as the weeks went on, they started to see, some of our guys started to see that it got easier. He takes a lot of pride in what he's built here. He's been here since 2007. So our president has put so much sweat equity and he's invested so much into building what we have today, that any student that comes through here, whether you're an athlete or you're a regular student, his expectation is for you to put that same investment into what we have and what we're building. So he motivates me, honestly, with how much pride he has in what he's built. And at Wilkes-Barre, when I walked in a room or I talked about our program and I talked about our brand, it was because of what I built, and I built it with some of the best small college players in the country. I built it with some of the best coaches in the country, and we built it. And when I hear him speak, or when I see him talking about it translates. It's like a mirror, because I get it. I get this is his baby. So, so academically, I think that, even just him just being not just the president who sits in his office, but the guy, you see him at lunch, you see him on campus, you see him, he's been down to my office. My office is in a total different building from his. And, he knocks on the door and you see him. He's so present. And I've worked at several schools where no disrespect to Wilkes-Barre at all, I saw him the 5 days that I was here when I signed my contract. I saw him, interacted with him. In those 5 days, I saw him more than I probably saw my president in the whole school year. So he's very present in the school. He's very present. This is his baby. Like, this is something that
work ethic, work ethic.
Out insane.
Yes.
And so to have that, in saying that, to have that, the children, the students, they see the pride that he walks around with. So it gives us all that sense of pride of what we're all building and what we're a part of, that it motivates students to want to be better academically, to want to do better. And one of his quotes is always, is that he wants academic All-Americans and national champions, and college graduates. So, that's the goal, and for me, in my last school, we used to say ABC all the time, which is academics, basketball, and our culture. Those are the three things that is pretty much as easy as we say easy as ABC. So those are the things. So for us, academics, basketball, and culture are the things and that we're trying to do here. And he has created an environment for everyone to succeed. And if we're not succeeding, he's staying up late, scratching his head, trying to figure out how can he help us succeed, and that's, to me, that's motivating in itself.
Let me ask you this in closing, and again, for you parents and for you prospects that are watching, a recruitable athlete, and let's step away from the court for a quick moment. And I love to close with this as well. When you're looking at a kid and, the academic side, when they're 3.0 or higher, and I want to touch on this because in general, I don't know if you're fully funded or not, but my point is where I'm getting at is you become a lot more recruitable when they can come to you and say, well, Paul Quinn gave me half an academic scholarship, or I got a presidential. I don't know if Paul Quinn has presidentials.
Yes, we do.
What I'm getting, and so they have presidentials. I got academic money. I'm Pell eligible. I have a UNCF scholarship. How much more attractive is that prospect right there to you?
All right, so I get two answers for that question. The first thing is I'm a little different than most coaches. Guys that play well are very attractive.
Yes.
But I'm a character guy, because you could have the best talent in the world, but if the chemistry doesn't work, or guys don't want to play together and play the right way, and when I say the right way, I mean my way, it'll never work anyway. So when we're recruiting, we're looking for three things. We're looking for, when my assistant coaches call me and say, hey, I seen a kid, I already know that they've checked those three boxes. And the first box is, can he play for us? Meaning, is he mentally tough enough to play for us? Can he play in our style of play? Is he a multiple position guy? Can he pass, shoot, and dribble? Is he unselfish? Those things that. The second box is academically, can he handle being here? Because we don't want guys that are going to fail off. One, it's a financial investment for us that we're not getting anything out of. And the second thing is, if he's not going to be able to survive academically, he won't be here long anyway.
Yeah.
And then
you can't depend on that kid. Actually,
you can't depend on him. And then the last thing is pretty much a bit of all is what kind of person are we getting? The basketball, what kind of person are we getting? Are we getting a person that's going to keep us up late at night because he's going to get in trouble? Is he a person that's going to disrespect, our professor? Is he going, is he going to blow off the dean of resident life? Like, what type of character of person he is, because that will play a huge part in the academic part, and it will also play a huge part in the athletic part, and so we want good character guys. And one thing that I can say, and I know we talked about it earlier, we got the job May 1st. We had to put a team together by June 11th. We were fortunate and blessed enough that we brought in good character kids that fit talent-wise and academic-wise. So to answer your question, a kid that's a good character kid and high academic, he's a kid with, because talent-wise, we can get you where you want to go. No one is walking through the door a finished product. We just talked about LJ. LJ's not a finished product. On the court, he's not a finished product. Off the court, and academically, he's not a finished product. He's going to grow over the next 3 years at Paul Quinn. But for us, we want to bring in good character kids that are going to grow, and we can develop players, and we will develop players. So if he's a great student, solid basketball player, and his academics, he's really good, but he's got a great character, you can work on the other two things. You can install, to a certain degree, you can install work ethic in a person who wants to get better. And honestly, most kids don't understand how hard you have to work anyway until they're around people or an environment that shows them how hard you have to work. We started conditioning and weightlifting June 24th, and we had guys that were JUCO transfers, 4-year transfers. It's like, I've never worked this hard, and it's just because they weren't in an environment that pushed them to the max. And then once they got comfortable with that max, push them to the next max. So I think, for us, so you can install work ethic in people who want to be better. The last thing is kind of like, it goes with the culture, it goes with the personality, but we want kids that want to be here.
Yeah.
And I understand completely the transfer portal is a beast. It's a beast. Do I understand? And we had this conversation, I think, a few years ago when we won the 3rd national championship. Do I understand that I potentially have 1 or 2 or 3 guys that may have breakout seasons and they get stolen from us? But we also have the resources. We have great scholarships and great, finances here. And we have a great network of things outside of basketball that same kid that might get stolen from us may stay. And so, but for us, we want people who want to be here.
Culture.
I love coaching kids who want to be here. I was at Wilkes-Barre 10 years. 10 years. We had 5 guys transferring 10 years because we created an environment that guys wanted to be a part of. We had kids leave schools to come be a part of because we just did it better than everybody else, or we did it different than everybody else. So I think, I'm not saying that we won't have a kid that says, hey, I want to go play at our level, because somebody drops, $40,000, $50,000, $100,000 in front of a kid, you be a doggone, I know my president's probably going to kill me for saying this, but you be a doggone fool to stay. It's life-changing money, and as much as our president wants to, he wants to eliminate poverty, and that's something that he says, all the time, by trying to put these kids in a better situation. When a kid gets a check, a blank check for $100,000 to go play at North Texas, it's going to be hard to keep them. But we want kids that want to be here. We want kids that take pride in what we're building. And when we recruited this off season, we sold that to kids. Come be a part of something special. We got an amazing president. We got an athletic director who, man, he got as many rings as Gino. He up there, and he knows what it takes to win. You coming to play for somebody that's won 3 national championships and produced a ton of pros and graduated players. but come be a part of something special. Come carve your own legacy, and be a part of something. I left Wilkes-Barre after 10 years. It'll be great to go back 20 years from now and see all of the trophies and all the banners up and be able to look up and say, I did that. We did that. It'll be great to see 3-4 years from now, some of our guys that are here now return and say, man, those were some good times and we won some national championships. I got to meet a few weeks ago. I know it's a little off topic, but I got to meet 2 guys from the 1995 national championship team. And I got a chance to, one, the coach, Mr. Jamie Summers, he works in athletics. He brought 2 guys back and they were able to come and they watched the workout, and I got a chance to sit and talk and just pick their brains about what it was like. And I told them, I said, hey, September, I need you guys back. I want you guys to come in one Saturday. We'll order some food and I want you to talk to these guys. I want you to get them to understand what they are part of, that legacy. I don't want them to learn it November 1st on homecoming. I want them to know before what they're playing for. Perez has created our Health and Wellness Center. It has pictures and different murals of the history of African American people. It's a reminder of what we've been through and where we're going and what we've overcome. And I want these guys to hear it from people who wore the jersey, played in the gym, and walked that campus. So, for us, those are the things I want. I want kids that want to be here, and the guys that we sign, Isaiah McCullen, Tavion Fisher, Cameron Covington, those guys. Some of those guys we brought in, they wanted to be here. They wanted to be a part of what we're building in the legacy. Even the 4 guys that I won national championships with that are here with us. When I picked up the phone, I had to tell the team on Friday, and Friday afternoon, I had to reach out to guys and say, hey, I want you to come with me. I want you to be a part of this. And they came here and they embraced it, and they didn't come in with any arrogance. They came with all humility, and they're willing to work, and they know what it takes to build something, and now they want to build it here. So we want kids that want to be a part of that legacy, And is it tough? Yeah, because some of these kids are so individually, motivated to help themselves.
But they've never been in a culture like that, so it's a shock to them. Mm-hmm. That's the thing, and I say that because that's perfect what you just said, and this is how I want to close it, man. And because what you're saying has built this up. I always love, you said you like to flex a little bit, so this is your time to flex, you know what I'm saying? For the people that are going to watch this, that have watched it live, and that are going to watch the recording, why Paul Quinn College?
We are the best small college in small college basketball, and we're going to prove it. We're 15, I'm still learning it, but we're about 15, 20 minutes from downtown Dallas. We're the only HBCU in Dallas. It is a beautiful campus. I've been on some HBCU campuses. I've been on some PWI campuses, and it's a beautiful campus. It is a diamond in the rough that a lot of people probably don't know how beautiful it is until you step one foot on that campus. It's an amazing degree. We have a president that is, has created a work program, work college program for our students to succeed, and we are building, I say we because I'm a part of it as well. We are building our own network. We are building our own Ivy League. We're building our own, our president talks about how, how those Ivy League students get jobs just because of where they went to school. Mm-hmm. He is building that network, and we are a part of building that network because we are all doing our part to build, and we're building something special here. and Paul, it's a great place to play. We're gonna play a great brand of basketball. We're going to win championships. And I'm not saying that with no arrogance. I'm just telling you, we're gonna win championships. We have a goal. We have a plan. Me and my staff, and we're going to turn this thing around pretty fast. And we want to do it. And we want to be an NA. And this is my personal goal. We want to be an NAI powerhouse in the next 3 years. I don't want to be just a tournament team. I want to be a powerhouse. And I'm pretty sure that other NAI programs are probably listening and they writing down. Yes, we want to be a powerhouse in the next 3 years. I want to be able to look up year 3 and say, okay, we went through some building blocks year 1 and 2, but we've arrived. I want to arrive in year 1, but I know that Rome wasn't built in a day, and our athletic director and president understand that too. But we want to build a national powerhouse, and I want to do it in the next 3 years. And I want by year 3 for us to be a powerhouse. And any student athlete that's watching this, any parent that's watching this should understand and know if you're thinking Paul Quinn, you're thinking right. And you are coming to something that's going to be built very, very special. Our athletic director is going to continue to be innovative. Our president is going to continue to be innovative, and us as coaches, we are going to continue to be innovative, and we are going to make this the best small colleges in small college basketball. And I used to say that at Wilkes-Barre because we did do something that has never been done at the small college level, but now we're here. And we're going to do it at Paul Quinn, and we're going to do it even bigger because the resources are better, the opportunity is better, and what the school provides and what the support we have here is better. So we're going to build something special here, and I don't think anybody should sleep on us because we definitely they got to expect us because we coming.
I like it. Hey man, it's a pleasure, man. And number one, let me say this, man. I mean, even though we're going off air, man, I'm proud of your accomplishments, man. I'm proud to see where you're going as a coach.
Thank you.
One of the guys here in Georgia has a great term where they say your net worth is your network.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And, you being in my circle, I consider you somebody dear to me that, is going places. There's no question. You can see it. And, you're going to always have my support. And, man,
I appreciate it. And we spoke this in existence a few years ago.
We did, man. We did.
I just need an opportunity to write school. I said, I know I can recruit. I just need somebody to see me the way I see.
I remember vividly, very vividly. And, when you were out there,
picked up the phone. I was like, yes. Mm-hmm. So I got to figure some things out, but yes.
Absolutely. And that was I remember texting you saying, hey, man, your time is going to come. It's only a matter of time, because I know, you felt this. You felt that you deserved to be in a certain place. And your resume was speaking for itself. And, like I said, even in the introduction, a lot of guys like yourself where, I evaluate boys and girls all over the country. And just like you, I see it. It's like it's right in your face. Like, yeah, this guy is going to be good in time. And there's other people that you don't even know co-sign you to be like, yeah, man, he's a good coach. Like I played against him as I was a player against him when he was coaching at other places. That's like when you were at Cecil. Like someone came to me and said, I was like, oh, okay, oh, he's certified. Okay. So that's why I say this business is so small that people will know you from stop 1, stop 2, stop 3, whatever the case may be. And for me, I always like to say this. If there was ever somebody that bad-mouthed you or whatever the case, there's one thing that can't be disputed. Your work and your resume is going to speak for yourself, man. Yep. It's going to speak for itself. So if that person that nobody is unscathed in this. Sometimes there's jealousy, sometimes there's envy, there's all of that about, oh, he does this, he does that. He's not what he's cracked up. And I'm not saying nobody said that about you.
No, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, but if that is the case, that person, if they do their own research, they'll be like, well, okay, he said this, but this work and resume shows something different.
In the words of my man Jay-Z, man, I say it all the time. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Numbers don't.
That's true.
So,
that's true.
But I mean, I'm low profile. I stay to myself. I know that my success is my success, but it was built off the backs of some really great players, some really good staffs, and a lot of people who sacrificed a ton to allow me to be able to be in this position. You know, my dad was on my staff for a very long time, and he sacrificed a ton. My wife, who sacrificed a ton to allow me to be me, to get us here. So, you know, it's for me, I'm blessed. I'm humbled by the situation. I mean, even when A.D. Evans called, I was kind of like, oh man, I interviewed and I interviewed again. And I was like, oh, did I interview with Prez? And I was like kind of worried that, you know, maybe, you know, I'm not a Texas guy, you know, will they give me a chance? But, you know, they respected my winning, and they respected what I do. And it's been a joy. And we haven't even scratched the surface of how we're gonna get with everything. I mean, like I said, I just moved in last Monday, and I've been hitting the ground running, trying to get my family comfortable, because my wife know that once they get comfortable, then I can roll my sleeves up and we're gonna get going. And
yeah.
You know, I'm still gonna take care of family and everybody, but she know once I get eat sleep and shit basketball and we start tunnel vision, we're gonna do some things. And I want to bring it home. You know, I want to bring it home for Paul Quinn, man. I know we still rolling, but I want to bring it home. I mean, the energy, the vibe I got on my visit, you know, when I first visited in April, and A.D. Evans is walking me around, introducing me to people and everybody is, you know, you won some championships. When Prez introduced me, you know, to the whole Texas, and, you know, at our HBCU All-Star game, and he said, you know, 3-time champion, and we expect to win championships. And, you know, like that motivated me, and it motivates me. You know, I want a purple and gold ring now. I got blue and white ones. I want purple and gold one, but I want to bring it home. I'm to win the conference, to win a national championship is something that we're going to really push to do, but we know it takes time. We're going to build it. We're going to get better and better. We know we're going to have some ups and downs. You know, I want to win sooner than I want to be the best sooner than later, but I do understand that it takes time. And Wilkes-Barre was dominant, and it was big, but it took us, you know, it took us 2 years to figure it out, to get going. But the resources is there, and like I said, I want to look up and look in them NAI polls and them NAI magazines and see in 3 years that we're one of those heavy hitters that everybody's talking about. And I believe that we building something special to be able to be one of them.
And I'm looking forward to getting out there and checking you out in October and November, man.
Yeah,
you know,
man, you got to come out here, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna work this around my broadcasting schedule, so definitely looking forward to that. And then with the HBCUAA tournament being at Stillman, that's a 2.5 hour drive for me. So either way, you're gonna see me in the next 9 to 10 months.
I'm gonna see you at that conference tournament when we the 1 seed.
Hey, and I'll be right there. I will definitely
in existence
be right there.
Now, man. My guys are ready. We was together for 4 weeks, man, and we were building that chemistry. And like I said, man, I brought some national champions with me, and those kids know how to win, and they know what it takes, and they know who I am. And you know, they walk around the dorms just making sure that everybody's on the same page. And we brought in some experience. I mean, we got a kid from Russ College. He was 13-9 guy, and Isaiah McCullen. And he was a kid I recruited at Wilkes-Barre, but I couldn't get him. Russ beat me out for him because mom didn't want him close to home. But I got him here with me. And, you know, we got some fraternity guys. We got a kid named John Harrison, who I think.
But that's relationships right there. Like, he left an impression, and he wasn't disrespectful, you know what I'm saying, to the point where if you ever went somewhere else, and here we are. That's why, man, I can't holler that enough, because, you know, there's some guys that, man, and if we're going to be transparent and honest, I'm so passionate about this, and you're one of the few people that I remember my journey, and I remember when D3s were calling me, and mind you, this was in the early 90s, I felt disrespected. But nobody was mentoring me or guiding me, And so when that phone rang, I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no. And that's why I'm speaking from experience, like parents, players. And I wasn't disrespectful per se, but it was.
I had a kid blow me off in beginning of April. Kid we really liked, wanted him to come. He blew us off, and we blew us off at Wilkes-Barre, and it goes viral on Twitter.
Yeah,
it goes on Twitter. I get the job.
He blowing you up now.
He blew me up, and it wasn't even if he would have let us down and just said, "Hey, I'm not interested."
Yes.
It was just how he did it. It was very,
Exactly.
My father always told us, growing up, me and my brothers and sisters, he said, you never burn a bridge because you never know when you got to walk back across.
Boy, is that not
and
the truth?
He took dynamite to the bridge, and it was like, you know what? So I, you never know, man. Assistant coaches become head coaches.
Absolutely.
Division II coaches become Division I coaches. NAI, USCA coaches become NAI coaches.
Man.
You just never know. You treat the janitor the same way you treat the president.
Listen, in these 111 episodes, there's probably about 20 guys that I've brought back on from a lower level that are now at higher levels. And like you said, you don't burn that bridge, whether it's on the women's side, whether it's on the men's side. They might not have been, like you said, you were a USCA school, but people don't understand. People don't understand levels, and you need to look at programs that are actually doing it the right way because it's going to translate. And that's where, I don't care if you're D2, your low major D1, your mid major, your D3, your NAI, whatever the case may be, you have to do your research. And that's where, I'm going to get so passionate about this because parents, you have to do your research, because when I ask, what is the long-term goal that you want out of this? Oh, well, the majority of the time I want to go pro.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh,
so you want to go pro. How many pros has that coach put in? What's his resume? I don't know. Well, I'm just looking at level. Okay. You got this D3 school, you got this D2 school, and like someone like yourself, I know another coach on the D2 level.
You can go from anywhere now.
Yeah, very respectful like yourself.
If you can play, you can play.
Yes. Yes. And he has 8, 9, 10 guys in playing overseas, but because it's this level and it's not high major or it's not sexy per se, you skip over it. And that's why I say I like what your president is doing as well, because you have to be able to analyze to get ready for not just basketball, but for real life as well. Because there's some opportunities you have to do your research and be like, man, that could really take me to the next level. And you have to be able to make educated decisions to say, okay, this looks really good, but this is.
I also think, though, too, that this climate is so social media driven.
Yeah.
That these some of it I put on the athlete, the student athletes, because you guys ultimately have to sign the letter of intent. But we got a lot of adults making decisions or living through these
living vicariously, yes,
and not putting them in the best position. I'll use my son for example. My son had some offers. He had some scholarships on the table. He had some JUCOs. He had some D2s. He had some D3s giving out some really good packages. He had a couple of NAIs up north. And I didn't recruit LJ, and not in a bad way, but I didn't recruit him. I wanted him to enjoy the process.
Yes.
There was times that I was at showcases. I was at Pitt Jam Fest one his junior year.
My hometown. Yep.
Man, he had 23 points in one game. And I'm sitting there. Mind you, I was sitting on the opposite court. I was watching, but I was sitting 2 courts down.
Yeah.
LJ's he's knocking down shots. He's playing his tail off. And one of my guys came over to me, coach, like, man, your son just had, he had a really good game, man. I said, recruit him. He looked at me. He was like, no, like, he not gonna go play for you. I said, no, I'm not recruiting him. I said, you recruit him. If you like him and you think he can play for you, then you recruit him. And he was like, and I said, listen, man, I said, I want my son to go where he's happy. I said, I want him to be in the position that's best for him. Ultimately, he picked us. Was I shocked? Not so much, because he sat on my bench the second national championship. He was still in high school, but he sat at, I took him to the national tournament. He sat on the bench. Mm-hmm. And that feeling of winning and going through the whole tournament, I think that sold him on, like, man, I want to go there and get one I want to go get one of those.
Yeah.
But he went through the process. We did visits, I did some with him, and I made mom go most of them so that he didn't feel the pressure of making a decision, But I say that as a parent, I think even with my own son, I wanted him to make the best decision for him, what made him happy. I think that some of these kids are making decisions. Now, some of it is NIL, but, all money's not good money. And it's got to make sense. And I think that some of the athletes out here are just picking schools. You can't pick a school right now because the guy's recruiting you because he's throwing money at you. You got to pick somewhere that's a good fit for you. Do they pay your style of play? What do you want to get your degree in? Do they have, how many people get jobs in that field from that school? I think those are the things. It can't just be that they wear Nike and they're on ESPN 11 times a year. That can't be your reasoning to do it.
Unfortunately, it is.
Unfortunately, it is. It's so bad now that it's even the high school kids. They're making commitment posts to where they're going to high school.
Oh yeah.
And then they're using words like, I'm committing to such and such high school. No, yeah. You're enrolling into this high school. That's but everybody's doing it for a like and a repost or retweet. And it's not authentic anymore. It's more so you're doing it for social media. And it's
look at me.
Look at me. And it's like, and you have these older people, these older coaches, and I'm not saying older in age, but the people who have common sense or in charge of these student athletes that are just making this kid go Division I, knowing that he'd have a hell of a career at a Division II, but he's sending him Division I because it helps his AAU program get the next kid to pay $1,500 to $1,700 for the summer. Mm-hmm. And then this kid is in the portal in a year
3 or 4 times.
I don't think some of the parents are even looking at how many kids. Well, coach had 7 kids go in the portal. But so he's got 7 scholarships. So we're going to send Johnny there. You're not understanding why those 7 kids are going in the portal. And some of the kids that are in the portal, we're thinking they want to transfer. Some of these kids are getting pushed out. They're not even transferring because
nobody talks about that.
They just saying, hey, this guy, we don't want him anymore. We're going to take the scholarship back. And I think that's no one's asking those questions. Yeah. And and I say about LJ, like I told him, like even on the visits, like you got to ask these questions. Where do you see me? What do you think? What do you think about what is my future here? I ask players during their during the recruiting process, what's the goal? Some of them look at me and say, well, I want to be a pro. And it's like, well, dude, are you willing to get up every day in the morning at 6:30 in the morning, work on your game? Are you willing to eat? I tell kids at Wilkes-Barre, I used to tell kids all the time, what's the goal? Is I want to be a pro. Are you willing to eat, sleep, and shit basketball for the next three years? Are you willing not to drink and chase tail for the next 3 years? Are you willing to be so obsessed with academics and athletics that nothing else is important? Because that's what it's going to take to be a pro. Because you're coming from a small college level where the guy who averages 8.5 at Duke can get a job in Europe before you're 17 in the USCAA. So are you willing to separate yourself? And I think that's it right there, and I think that's the climate we're in right now, is that we don't have enough people helping these kids make the right decisions. They're making 1-year decisions. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go to Texas Tech for a year. And if it don't work out, then I'll end up at Tarleton State, and then I'll have a good career. And it's like, no, why don't you just go to Tarleton State now?
But even past that, I love what you just said, or why don't you go to the D2 in the Lone Star State, or why don't you go to Paul Quinn? Like, we got to start having those conversations, because it's such the misconception, well, I'm just going to stay D1. And again, what they don't understand, like, they're going to get shell-shocked if they come to Paul Quinn or they come somewhere else, and they'll be like, oh, man, I'm struggling to play here. Yeah, man, like, yeah, there's levels to this, but there's also levels of certain programs where quality programs will speak for themselves. There are NAIs that can beat D1s. There are D2s that can beat D1s. There are D3s that can beat D1s.
Hey, man, we had Morgan State on the ropes a few years ago at Wilkes-Barre. I looked up 4 minutes ago, it was 63-62 us. And during the TV timeout. And I looked up and I looked at the coaches during the timeout, and I said, we might pull this shit off. I said, and then everything went wrong that could possibly go wrong in the next 4.5 minutes. And we wound up losing by like 17-18, but we understood how good we were at that moment. Yeah, we were able to walk out that gym and say, we won a natty that year. And I said, I think this team can win the national championship, because if you could put Morgan State on the ropes like that, and those kids could break down the scouting report the way we did and execute it, we'll be able to beat everybody at our level. And we did.
But that's the point. But nobody understands. And that's why I bring guys like yourself on to this show. I want people to see, like, yeah, he's at Paul Quinn, but do you understand, like, the type of culture he's setting up? Do you understand the type of team that he has? Do you understand the type of resume that he has? That's what I feel like I want to continue to bring the light. And, yes, it's you. Yes, it's others. And whether it's HBCU, PWI, I want to continue spreading this, because I want people to understand, like, and don't get me wrong, I have D1s come on this show as well. So it's not about knocking D1s. Yeah. It's about finding the correct fit, whatever the level it is, whether it's going to be a correct fit academically, or it's supposed to be academically and athletically, because so many people, like you said, are choosing schools. Well, they don't have my major, but I'm going to go here because it's whatever level, and I'm going to play here, and I'll figure it out after I finish. That's the wrong take on this.
Well, it's funny that I was watching a podcast, I think it was the other day, and Cal said, how many kids, he said, you got kids that transfer 4 years in a row, 5 years, and they are not on pace to graduate from anywhere. And
well,
now,
they don't care.
And then now they go into the real world. And his exact words was, they go into the real world and they're getting a $40,000 a year job, but they were just making $150 playing basketball, and now they don't know how to react to it. But I also, one thing I can say about us, I always ask the kids, what's the goal? That's one of the questions I ask when I first talk to a kid. Another one is, what are you looking for in a school? That's before we even get deep. What are you looking for? Some kids say full scholarship. Some kids say, I want to major in physical therapy. Some kids say, I'm looking for some place to showcase my skills. And then that'll build my conversation, because now I want to know, what do you mean by that? Showcase your skills, meaning like you won't be one and done. And we've jumped off some kids that we got that vibe that they just looking to come to Paul Quinn, get 17 a game,
and move up.
F the culture, and then go on up. They don't care. I don't want those kids in my program. And I know that that's probably, I know some coaches will probably say, no, well, if you want to win, you'll go after those type of kids and just win. And now I've even had some handlers say that to me. Well, why don't you want to take this kid? He's going to have a good year and then he go somewhere else. And it's like, but we're not trying to do that here. If that happens organically, so be it. I know my president's going to want to kill me, but so be it. If a kid averages 17 points a game and he decides to move on for the money, I don't know how much we can do. I mean, I'm going to try to fight to keep him here, but if he doesn't, but if it organically happens, I'm okay with it. But when a kid is coming in with the intention that he's going to average 17 and leave, he's not going to be bought into anything that you try to do here. He's going to go against everything. He's going to kill your chemistry. He's going to kill your culture. And you're going to be stuck in a locker room where you have to make a decision where you sit this kid who you thought was going to come in here and do a thing for the sake of the team, or do you ride it out and lose more kids? And I'm always going to pick the team over one individual. So I think that to me, that's the biggest thing right now is that I always ask, like, what's the goal? Like, some kids say, I want to play, I want a great basketball experience, and I want to go in the real world. You got some kids that say, I want to be a pro, even though they're delusional. And then you got some kids that'll say, I want to average this and, whatever. But I always ask kids, like, what's the goal? And what are you looking for in the school? Because depending on what the kid says, it helps me determine if I want to go forward. And then my next question is who we up against. And, if a kid says this school and that school, I never talk, junk about any school. But if a kid says to me, I want to be a coach, I want to be a pro, I want to get my degree in physical therapy. And, I'm looking for a place where we can win some championships. We play a high level schedule, blah, 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 blah. That's my kid. That's him right there. Hey, listen, I coach 22 kids that's pros. My athletic director is a former NBA executive.
And he came from Georgetown College.
He came to Georgia,
Yeah.
My athletic, I can say that. I can sit there and say, well, you want to get your degree in physical therapy? Well, we have a work program, internship with the Dallas Mavericks where you could help them. And we've won X amount of games and this and that. So now that's the trio. We got all three of the things you want, So you want to go to such and such university down the street. They haven't produced no pros. They don't have your major, and you're not gonna get anything out of that. So that's the only thing I'll ever say to a kid, where it's like I'll try to get the kid to think outside the box. It's like, you know what, he's right. They do have everything I want here, and maybe I should make this decision. So I'll have that conversation with them, and I've had conversations with recruits where it's like, I'm not Coach Hammond right now. I'm Big Bro. I want to just give you, whether you pick us or not, here's Big Brother advice. Go somewhere where you want it. I done called you 4 times this week. I done talked to moms. I text you. We've been texting. As you can see, we want you. This is not, and even when the kid commits, we don't stop talking. I'm still texting you. I'm still calling you. I'm still checking on you. I got an alert on my phone. Let me know it's your birthday, or it's grandma's birthday. I take the time to text kids. Hey, tell your mom Happy Mother's Day, Happy Father's Day, because I spend more time with these kids than I do my own kids. So they're part of our family. So when kids make decisions off of the things that that are most important to them, they have more success than a guy who's just searching for success in every pocket that he can find success. Some of my players, man. I mean, I've been to weddings, I've been to some funerals, I've been to some gender reveals, I've been to some kids' birthday parties. Like, my players, we family. I still talk to some of my former players, not just the guys that's pros. I've been to a few graduations where a few guys have gotten their master's degree. So we find a way to just, it's I'm not in the kid's life for a year, 4 years. This is a 30 to 50 year, relationship. Lord spare I'm older than them, so Lord spare my life, but it's a 30 to 50 year relationship. And I try to get kids to understand that during the recruiting process.
Hey, man, listen, man, I want to thank you so much for coming on here, man. Because
thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me.
You already know, and I know what you're going to build there in due time. I'm not going to sit up here and tell folks I told you, but what I will say is I brought him on the show for a reason, so you all can see there's certain type of coaches that come on this program that are going to resonate, and their work is going to speak for themselves. And I feel like you're one of them, man. And, I feel like you're headed in the right direction. Paul Quinn is, going to be a good fit for you. And like you said, in due time, you'll have that thing rocking and rolling. And, I can't wait to be in the stands and covering it as part of the media and be like, man, I remember when you first walked in it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But man, thank you again, man. And
thank you for having me, and thank you for giving us, me the platform to be able to talk about Paul Quinn and even myself. So I'm always grateful for the opportunity.
Oh, definitely, man. Wherever you at, I'm gonna run with you because you're one of those guys that I feel like are good for the game. That's just plain and simple. They're good for the game on and off the court, and so you'll always be a part of this show. Like you said, you family when you come on this show.
Thank
when
you.
You came on at Penn State Wilkes-Barre, so I was like, hey, you come on the show once, you family. It's the family reunion, so you'll always be a part of it, man. And man, we're gonna wrap it up, man. But I want to thank you again for coming on, man.
Thank you for having me. Definitely, thank you for having me.
All right, you have a good one. We're gonna talk soon, okay?
Sounds good, man. Thank you for everything.
All right. Listen, I tell people all the time, like, yes, I'm a basketball person. I love basketball, but there's relationships, and then there's people that are in your best interest for your kid. I feel like Coach Hammond is definitely one of them because, like, in this hour plus, interview that we had, I wanted people to see what it's going to be at Paul Quinn. And, I know if I was still coaching AAU, whatever the case, he would definitely be one of the people I would be pointing my kids to, especially the ones that are trying to graduate. And, Paul Quinn got a good thing going out there with their internships because I feel like it's so much bigger than basketball. And yes, like you said, everybody want to go pro, and there has to be honest conversations where I don't want to say delusion, even though amongst us as talking to coaches, they're like, no, that's not the case. We're trying to point him to get his degree. So, when it's time for him to graduate, he has something to fall back on with that degree so he can support his family. But I want to keep doing this because I feel like it's so important. And on the women's side, on the men's side, this is what it's supposed to be about. And I love that this was wrapping up season 4. We're going to come back in about 2 weeks for season 5, a brand new show, brand new introduction as the show comes on. I'm looking forward to that, and I'm excited. Man, thank you all so much. I want to say that so much. 111 episodes in 4 seasons. We've had an array of people on here, from NBA people, WNBA. We've had ADs, we've had commissioners, head coaches, high school coaches, assistant coaches of every level. And thank you all for the support, and thank you all. I can be honest, if there was one person watching this, I still would be doing this. But because of the information and, as they say, the knowledge that is given, so many more people watch the recording than they do live. And I'm totally fine with that because that's what this is supposed to be about. And shout out to Paul Quinn College and the president and the AD. And, of course, Coach Hammond, I wish you guys the best. I know you guys do big things. Tune in 2 weeks. We will be back with the new season of season 5. Man, I can't believe it's been season 5. I remember the first show some years ago, and I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, am I doing something that's going to be worthwhile? And thankfully, it has turned into that. And thank you guys so much. That's going to do it for tonight. You guys have a good evening. I will see you guys in 2 weeks. Again, this is David Jones signing off with Hoops Hidden Gems podcast. Good night.